it to totally set up. Hi everybody, it's Amber. I'm your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I've just been playing with watercolor since I got home from work today. And I wanted to share how easy and simple it can be. It's a lot of fun. How are you guys doing? I know in my area, it's supposed to be 80 degrees tomorrow, so I'm kind of sad I have to go to work. But it is what it is. So I was just wanted to show you. I was actually playing with the new colors mixing with old. And here's one using actually Orchard, Oasis, and Starry Night. And this one's using Sweet Sherbet with Real Red. And this one is Pacific Point and Tahitian Blue. So these are some of the new ink colors. I was definitely playing with them, having a lot of fun. And I wanted to show you, like, these little note cards are great. They're great to have around. They come actually in basic white and very vanilla. I have both. There's 20 in there, so it's not a bad little for quick cards and quick note cards and just having them all scored and ready to go. So that's it here. Alright. So the supplies we're going to be using today is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. These are my colors, so we're going to be using a little bit of everything. I could use Stazon too, but I like to use Stazon only for certain things and then do the memento. It's a personal preference. So I'm using Starry Night, which will be available the 2nd for customers. And then Orchard, Oasis, and Pear Pizzazz. I think they go together beautifully. And then we're doing Stazon Jet Black. Now this is a solvent ink or an archival kind of ink. You can actually stamp on wood, canvas, a whole bunch of different other things. It's a very permanent ink, and it actually has a special Stazon cleaner. You just got to remember to clean your stamps off or they will stain. And it's not like our typical, which are water solvent inks. And then I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black. I have just a regular solo sponge, never seen dishes, just cut it in half. Cup of water. And our watercolor pens. These awesome little things. So it comes with a fat tip, skinny tip, and then a really pointed tip, which is good for fine drawing, and these are good for broad brush strokes. And if you ever have problems opening these like I did, they're the opposite. So instead of righty tighty, lefty loosey, it's the opposite. And then you put the water in here. And mine are all full. See, I still do it. I always go the right way. Look at that. So I'm just going to put my cap on those. Like so. I'm going to put some of the stuff away. And another thing that I actually used was but this is not necessary. It's the basic black, it's the dark alcohol ink. You can also use your inks too to do the same technique. And the stamp sets that I'm going to be using is going to be using this flower from Honeybee Home. I love this flower. And then I'm using a sediment from Celebrating You. And I'm going to be using Just For You because I love the little just for the text. I thought it was perfect for this note card. Alright. So first things first. I want to get some of my cutting out of the way. Pull our watercolor sheet out. Blink. move stuff out of the way. So I'm going to take my cutter, and it's going to be 3 by 4.5. And you can use these for all different little things. This is the piece I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using Orchard Oasis. Right here. And I'm going to be going up, so let's see, that's 1/8. So 3 1/8. That's what this is already. And then I'm gonna do, I gotta count now. Look at that. 1, 2, and then 4 7/8. And that's actually gonna be our mat. Excuse my phone. This is one of our new ink colors. It's so pretty. So this is actually going to be the mat, so it's going to go under here. I'm going to go like this, and you want to protect your surface because you are playing with water. And then we're going to first bring in our little envelope for our note card, and here is our little note card. They come pre-scored. I'm going to take my bone folder and sit there and crease it good. I always forget to do this with my bone folder, and I always regret it because then my cards don't lay flat. Not as well. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Orchard Oasis and I'm going to do my water-based ink stamping first. So the inside of the card, I'm going to sit here and go like this, like that, and I have it on my block, and I just want it right there on the side, just to bring it in. And then I'm going to put that to the side, and I love doing my envelopes, so I did this one a little bit off, and then I'm going to do this one like that, and then I'm going to flip it and do it the opposite, a little bit of an angle. And like that. And that'll be really pretty. And then I'm going to clean this off. Close up my ink pad, because I know what happens when I leave it open. And I want to clean it off really good. So those are new ink pads, so I got a lot of ink in them, so I probably pushed a little bit harder than I should have. Alright, so let's sit there. And I'm going to put this away. Like so. And we're going to take our lovely watercolor piece of paper, and then I'm going to get our palette ready. I have a bunch of the A blocks. I love these blocks. They're very handy. So I'm going to sit there, and I got the pear pizzazz. And I'm going to just sit there and go like this. I'm going to close it up. And I'm going to do lightest to darkest. So I'm going to do Orchard Oasis in the middle, like that. You can do it on a big block too. I just like the little ones. And Starry Night. And these are 2 of the new ink colors that will be available to customers in a second. See, all done with those. Alright, so we're going to take the Stazon ink. And Stazon comes with this little cover to keep the ink in there. So I'm going to ink this up pretty good. Not too much, because I don't want it to, what's the word? And this ink smells like black licorice to me, which is not my favorite, but it does work. It's very good ink. So So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to do mine straight up and down this time. And I'm going to hold it there for a little bit. It's straight down. Don't rock. Don't do any of that fun stuff. You straight down, and watercolor paper is a little thicker, so you're going to have to hold it down a little longer for it to absorb the ink. And I want it like that. I don't want it like popping black like when you do Memento. I want it to be like the underline of a watercolor, like a little sketch. And I'm going to have to use my special cleaner to get that off, which I'll do later. Alright, the first things first. I'm going to move this mouse out of the way. Alright, so let's see. This is the finest tip, and I'm going to actually start with the Orchard Oasis, and just a little bit. You don't need a lot. You can always add, you can't take away. And I want this just to be a base coat for me. And it's got a lot of water on it. So I'm just painting them basically. Simple, and don't be worried if you go outside the line, it's watercolor. It's part of it actually. And don't worry about it if it's not the color that you want, because we're going to be adding layers to it. And what else I'm doing is letting the stamp do all the work, believe it or not. I'll just show you the lines and where you need to do shadows and all that fun stuff. I was just playing with watercolor, and I really like these two together. Alright. So, and then you're going to sit there and squeeze it until it comes out clear. And then your brush is clean. And it's going to be a little bit noisy because I'm going to use my heat tool. I'm going to use it on low. And you don't need much. I put a little extra on there, extra water that I really didn't want. So I'm going to just dry it. Or you can let it naturally dry if you don't have that. Either one, it'll dry fast. Okay, so now I'm going to use the Starry Night, and I'm just going to use the very tip of it. And now I'm going to go over the lines where it's black. This is where Stampin' Up! Does a lot of the jobs. This does it for you. Just a little something different to play with. And these colors look incredibly similar, but when you play with the watercolors, you can actually see how much actual purple is in the Orchard Oasis. It's really pretty. So I'm going to make my buds a little bit darker because they haven't bloomed yet. I believe this is honeysuckle. And I know these aren't the typical flowers, but, well, stamping world doesn't mean you have to be all normal. It's whatever you want to make it. Like this. There we go. Alright. And that's pretty much dry. What I usually do, as long as you don't put too much water on it, I work my way up and then work my way up again, because by the time you're up here, this is dry already. So now I'm going to sit here and bring in a little more oasis. Bring that purple one. I want it darker. Remember, you don't need to grab a lot. It does it for you, and if you want it a little bit lighter, you can add a drop of water and go over. That'll do that too. It'll thin it out. It's whatever you prefer, and I am by means no expert at watercolor. I am literally just playing and relaxing. And that is all I'm doing. Maybe one a little bit darker. So we're starting to see the blooms. And like here, I made it really dark with the Starry Night, so I want this flower to be a little darker. You don't want to make it too wet, and then it'll make it a hot mess. So I'm going to take my heat gun. Okay. I'm being more careful than I was when I was just playing. Trying to show you guys the proper way to do it. Definitely got a purple vibe, and you can bring in more colors. So I'm going to clean it again, and you can bring in other greens. You can do whatever you want. So I'm just going to start doing, and you can also use your Stampin' blends, which will give you a pure watercolor look, and draw right on your stamps to do your stamping instead of using the Stazon. The Stazon makes it so I can put as much water as I want on it. It's permanent. There's no moving it. There's no nothing. It keeps those line drawings for me. If you use our markers, the Stampin' rights, you're gonna lose it. If you put water on it, it will move. And all I'm doing is going over the stems and the leaves. And I'm just doing it in layers, because I want dark and light. And trust me, there's no complicatedness to this. I'm literally just using the stamp set to do the job. You can do as much as you want. And I'm going to clean it out again by just squeezing. And I'm going to go over it a little bit with the purple, because I really want the purple to look like it's on top. And blend it a little bit. So the flowers don't look like they're sitting on top. Really, it's all a matter of opinion. And it will dry lighter, and it goes on when it's wet. It's kind of like your hair, it looks darker when it's wet. I'm just giving it a little bit of different colored bases, also a little more interest. I'm going to do the same thing. Take my heat gun. This is my next step I'm going to use. Just because I want that really dry before I do this step. So I'm going to take this big one right here. And I'm going to add water to the color I want for my background. And I'm going to use Orchard Oasis because that's my, my matte piece. Yeah. Not too much, not too little. Alright. So it depends how strong you want to go on. I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to go around because I want it to give it a highlight look. You can color the whole thing like I did. You can mix the colors. It's whatever you want. There's no right or wrong in this. It's your vision. I thought it's a nice way to make some very unique cards. So I'm just going like this. And I'm doing like a water wash technique because I have a lot of water in there. You can also add the water right to the cardstock and watch it just go, and it'll do its natural stuff, which is cool. And this will make your paper curl. And I really just want the color all the way through it. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of this blue, which is Starry Night, and it's a really dark blue, so you want to be really careful with it, and I thought they go together really nice. Give it that look. And you can see as you add it to it, you can see the actual purple in the Starry Night. I thought it looked really pretty. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun. Nothing too string. This is just playing with water and stamps. I do want some corners going on here. I'm just kind of wiggling the brush around border, and it's okay if you go in it. I'm just letting the watercolor do what it naturally wants to do. It's like a free form. Just playing. So I got some squiggles in there, and I'm going to clean out my brush. Like so. I'm going to put these aside, and these blocks, you just run them right under water, and they'll rinse right off. Your hands, not so much. Alright, so I'm going to do my heat gun, so it's going to get loud again. I'm going to dry this up quick. So that's dry. And so you can bend it back, and if you're really particular, you can put a book on it overnight. So I'm going to take this one right here and show you how to do this. So what I'm going to do is I took a little bit of the Starry Night onto that pad. I'm going to gently sit there and bring color to it. And give that water splatter. You can do this also with your markers. I'm sure you guys have seen me do this one. So I'm just giving it a little bit of splatter. Alright, so we got some splatter. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it just gives it little color splatter through it. Keep going one more time. Give you watermark. That'll work too. So isn't that pretty? Just simple. Alright, so you can use your Stazon, but I'm going to use my Memento because I want it nice and black. And you want this really dry when you do this, or else it's going to smear it like I did on my one. So I'm going to ink it up really good. Hold it, don't rock, because remember it takes longer for the ink to absorb into this paper, and it gives it a little bit different, but I got the just. I rocked with my U. That's okay, we'll make her. Alright, so just make sure that's dry, because you didn't want that. I want is that to smear. So I'm going to take my Stampin' seal. You want a strong adhesive. You can use glue, but I like my Stampin' seal for this. You don't hear me say that often. I love my Tombow glue. Alright. Now we're going to sit here and frame it. Like so. Just from those 3 colors. Look how many colors you got out of that. And you can sit there and you can put ribbon on it if you want to step it up, or jewels, or any of the above. Both are great. Like I can sit there and this is the new In Color ribbon. Don't mind me, I don't tie this one very well. I don't know why, but I struggle with this one. And it's nothing to do with the ribbon, it's just me. Told you I'm not a perfect bow tire. That's why I don't usually do it on camera. And I'll sit there. I'm gonna eat it, why not? Why not? Make sure it's nice and tight. Choose what side I want. I like that. Like I said, you can leave it alone. You can step it up, step it down. Do whatever you want. It's your card. So I'm going to take my glue dot. I'm going to roll it. Because it's thin ribbon. You can use twine. Twine would look pretty too. There we go. I'll make sure they're even. I'm going to trim this one a little bit. If you ever wonder why I don't use the stamp scissors, it's because I have arthritis in my thumb and my hands, and my fingers don't fit. Otherwise, our scissors are by far awesome. Alright. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to shake it. Bring it up a little closer. So we got our pretty flower. Now I'm going to mat it on. And these note cards you can send in the mail. They cost the same as the other cards. There you go. Oh, look how pretty. Oh, look at it. How pretty. Just to send a little note. And you can put anything you want in there. And use any sentiment you want. I just like that. But that's as simple as that. You don't need a lot. You don't need to know a lot. You just need to play. That's the whole point of these, right? Is to have fun and play. Just make sure you clean off your stamp. really well if you use Stazon. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It was just a little bit of fun. And you guys have a great night. I'll talk to you guys another time. Bye bye.